And good morning. Welcome to another edition of Focus on Stafford County. Steve Webster, your host today, as we get a chance to find out what's going on with our friends to the south. And to help do that with us today, again, talking with Carolyn Dunn, Executive Director of Stafford County Economic Development, and a special guest with us today, Carol Long. She is the chairman of the board with a new business in Stafford County, Gray Photo Studio Incorporated. So plenty of things to talk about here during the holiday season. Carolyn, thanks for coming over today. I'm glad that people recognized how hard you were working recently when you were in here on Thanksgiving Day.
Economic development never takes a break.
It never takes a break. and here you are right around the Christmas day as well. It's been don't think I got to talk to you last time, did I? Because that was Patrick Burnett was in here the last time, so I hope he took care of you. Tell me about Gray Photo Studio, and we're going to be talking with Carol Long about this as well. And this is one of the success stories since you've been coming over here and doing Focus on Stafford County. What you wanted to accomplish, it'd be nice to hit that Grand Slam home run, but it's nice to put together a lot of little base hits and things like that, because that's the best way to grow.
Well, we have been talking about this idea that growing from within can be a really good strategy for rural towns. That, yes, like you said, it would be nice to land the proverbial mid-size manufacturing business, but I think a lot of the anecdotal stuff around the country is that doesn't work so well most of the time.
So the rumors about Amazon moving to Stafford are not correct then, is that right?
Sorry to disappoint you.
Oh, okay. All right.
So we are working to develop our own sense of entrepreneurship and develop those who are already here, already have the interest in living here. They have family connections. They have whatever it is that makes them want to live here. Let's help them grow. And so this Grace Photo Studio is a nonprofit that's getting started in St. John, and I think has a really great story that we'll get to hear today. But it's, to me, a great example of social entrepreneurship. It is a nonprofit, a 501c3, but nonetheless, what it's doing is looking to renovate our downtown area, a historic building there. We'll see a facelift that I think a lot of people will appreciate. It's going to be creating a couple of jobs and enhancing quality of life amenities in our rural town. So I couldn't be more supportive of things like that as economic development director, and it is an example of those from within the community seeing a need and deciding to act upon it, figure out how to gather the resources and get it done. So I think we'll all enjoy hearing Carol's story today.
Yeah, and one of the things is it's going to be very visible, because anyone who's been to St. John, it's a beautiful town square, and you know, when you see improvements on that, people say that's really neat, because that does mean a lot to St. John. That's a pretty downtown.
It is. And I think it does take someone with some vision to see how that can all happen. In fact, we had one of our sessions of Leadership Golden Belt came and toured the building this year. And as it is right now, there are gaping holes in the roof. So it does take someone with some vision and determination to say, I think I can change this.
Well, let's talk to Carol Long. Carol, thanks for coming along today with Carolyn. And just tell me about Gray's Photo Studio Inc. And first of all, what you guys are doing with this group and with this business that you have going.
Okay. Well, we've started in the past couple years, and we identified a building that we would like to restore. It's a restoration project. The building is on the national and the state level, and we've formed a 501c3. We have a board that is very enthusiastic about bringing the arts to St. John, and so that's our main goal, is bringing the arts to St. John. The building is a wonderful bonus, because it's the building in town that is a historic structure that we can restore, and the history of the building is amazing. It's built in the late 1800s, and William Gray, he purchased it in the early 1900s and raised his family there, and did photography for half a century, and he never changed his style of photography. It was always the glass negatives. He did not change into the other technologies. And so because of that, the Stafford County Historical Museum has over 29,000 glass negatives. And so that's an amazing part that the museum is taking care of. Now, with us redoing the building at the same time, I think that it's a kind of a whole collection of things that are in Stafford at the museum, with them archiving all of those photographs, those negatives, and with us redoing the building. Now, in the building, like I said, we want to bring arts to our community and enhance the quality of life. There are craftspeople in our area that are very skilled and maybe don't have an outlet. I think that Grace Studio would be a center for teaching and obviously learning. And I think that we could bring in artists and craftspeople from other places too for workshops. We want to have a resident artist to live in the building, live and work in the building, because there's a really nice sized apartment space there. And the studio space is fabulous. You walk into this room, and if you're in St. John and you see a building that has a huge angled window on it, that is Grace Studio. And on the outside, it looks like an old building. And we're fortunate that it was not torn down, because it's in its original condition. You walk into that studio space, and it is so amazing. The windows and the light. As an artist, it's just a wonderful place to work and to learn and teach. And we want to have all the arts. We want to have theater. We want to have music. We want to have clay and paper, and we want to have the whole gamut. Fibers. Some of the quilters in our area are they're so amazing, and people want to learn. They just don't know where to go. We want to be a center for that. We want to be a destination. We want to have gallery space for sales to help support the economic, not only bring in money for Grace Studio so that we can continue our programs, but to help craftspeople to market their work and actually get into the business of art, because there's two parts of art that don't always go very well together. One is the beauty and the awesomeness of making art, and then there's the drudgery of making a living with art.
Yes.
And so we want to have both the creative aspect so that we can improve our craft, as well as making a living and going, actually doing the practical side, which is not the fun part, but it's the necessary part of art.
And that's where I get kind of excited as economic development director, because that's how we're starting to create a couple jobs. Carol once expressed to me that she sees people that will pursue a higher education in art, but without a clearly defined career path following college, they end up just taking jobs in other areas and letting the art go by the wayside. But if we have a place that can provide that landing pad for them, at least provide a place to live and work without the worry of how to pay that rent, then we can help establish them as people who have a career, a business in art.
We are talking with Carol Long, the chairman of the board of Grace Photo Studio, Inc. in St. John, and Carolyn Dunn, Economic Development Director, Executive Director of Stafford County Economic Development. Your title changes every time you come on the show. We're going to take a break. We'll have more right after this. We're back on Focus on Stafford County. Steve Webster, your host today, again talking with Carolyn Dunn with us, Executive Director of Stafford County Economic Development, and Carol Long from the Grace Photo Studio, Inc. She is the chairman of the board. Carol, how far along are we on this project right now? What's been done and what still needs to be done?
Well, it's taken quite a lot of time just to get all of the paperwork, the red tape taken care of, which is not all taken care of, but we have just received a grant from the Creative Arts Industries Commission for $75,000, which we are absolutely thrilled about. And it's a matching grant, and we have matched over half of this $75,000 already. Now, this $75,000 will go into the restoration of the building, which is not a remodel. We're not going to be tearing anything out. We're going to be restoring. And so I guess what our push is right now is to raise the remaining matching money for this grant. And the Creative Arts Industry Commission is interesting in the fact that it is to, help build economically the creative arts. And so that fits perfectly into what we would like to do. When Carolyn showed me the grant, I thought it almost looks like they structured that grant around our program because it just fits so perfectly. So that's where we are now. We're in fundraising. We have a general contractor, Tim Sutherland, out of Wichita, and he is experienced with historic restorations. And he will be gathering local contractors to start on that process. And so by June, we have to be completely done with the using of this grant, actually having the work done and the funds moved and all of that done by June. That's kind of a tight time constraint to get contractors around and fit into their schedules, but I'm sure we can do it. We're very excited about it. And so this part, this $75,000 plus what we match will envelop the building. It will secure the whole building
on the exterior.
The exterior, and then we'll move to the inside. So,
yeah, I kind of see this as the thing that stabilizes. We talked about, or made reference earlier to the fact that there is a part of the building that actually has a hole in the roof, but this will stabilize that so that no further deterioration occurs, and you can move on to maybe the fun part.
Yeah, and the fun part, which is the inside. Carol, I know that when it's exciting, especially when you have a vision. So say I'm pulling through St. John and I see this building over here when everything's done, okay, and you're up and operating, doing all these different things, and I get out of my car and I walk in. What am I going to see? I mean, what's on the inside? What am I going to see? What's going to be taking place when I walk through the doors of a Gray's photo studio when it's all done?
Well, when you walk in the front door, you'll walk right into a gallery area. It's not going to be a large area because our focus is really going to be on teaching and learning. And so that first room will be for sales and promotion. And then you'll walk into the room with the windows, and that will be the learning space. Now, there are the dark rooms that William Gray used for his dark rooms. They're in pretty bad shape, but they're fairly small, and I think that the damage in that area is kind of limited to those rooms. And since they're so small, I think that we will use those for display of the equipment that he left in the building. His equipment. Now, some of the really cool stuff is over at the Stafford County Museum, and so it is worth a trip over there to see the negatives and see the equipment that they have. And I'm glad that they have the precious stuff because we are going to be in the business of making art, and we're going to be messy. So we want to use those smaller rooms for some display for some of the antique photography equipment and some of his notes, things like that. I would like to have even a library in there somewhere of literature, of books written by people from the community. There were books left in the building that had Stafford County authors. And so we need to learn a little bit about those people and kind of build a library We have poets. We have so many talented people, and I would want Gray Studio to be a collection of all of those people.
Sounds like a lot of different things going on, and I'm going to see a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
When I go in there. What's the excitement level? I mean, is the excitement level, people starting to get interested in this? Obviously, you've been able to get some matching contributions. Word must be spread, and you're doing something pretty neat.
Yes, and I need to get out more, and our board needs to get out more and educate the public on what we're doing, because when they hear that, we're restoring Gray Studio, some people are so excited because they have memories there. They have, as soon as you say we're redoing Gray Studio, we used to have our pictures taken there as kids, and we know the family. And you can even go on the Fort Hays State website and look up your family name if you did any business with William Gray in St. John, and see if they have archived your glass negatives yet. So it's just a exciting, historic, sentimental. It's that part of it is just sweet.
You touched a nerve with some people,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so if you're touching a nerve with somebody right now that wants to get involved, especially maybe financially, what do they need to do?
Oh, well, Golden Belt Community Foundation has been so wonderful with us. You can send a donation to Golden Belt Community Foundation with Gray Studio in the memo, and you will get all your proper tax forms and all of that sort of stuff from Golden Belt. And we could really use those funds before June. That's for certain. But yeah, that's where we are right now.
We're going to take one more break here, and we'll be back for the final segment of today's show. Focus on Stafford County. Carol Long and Carolyn Dunn with us here in studio today. We'll take a break and have more right after this. Welcome back. Final segment of Focus on Stafford County today. Carolyn Dunn with us, Executive Director of Stafford County Economic Development, and very interesting information from Carol Long. She is the chairman of the board with Gray's Photo Studio, Inc. in St. John. Carolyn, I know you've watched, you've been involved with a lot of neat things, and I know just from talking to you during the break that you've been pretty impressed with the way this thing has come together, and it's really, for what they've had, some of the hoops they've had to jump through, it's gone pretty quickly.
It has, and I just think that they've done a lot of the right things to set themselves up for success. For one, before they started working with the public, they did all the work to get the 501c3 through the IRS, and that's not a quick process, but they worked their way through that. Within, I think it was within only a couple of weeks or a month that they got that 501c3 application. We'd already been talking through the 501c3 designation. We'd been talking through some ideas for grants, and the right grant came along, and within 2 weeks we'd applied for that grant after getting that designation, and it was a requirement for eligibility. So it just strikes me that they're doing all the right things to set themselves up for when those opportunities come that help them further their goal. They've partnered with a lot of different groups in the Stafford County area. So the Rec Commission, the library, the after-school program, they've all talked about how they would support this and like to be involved in the programming once it's up and going. And that, in turn, is what I think has made it a competitive project when it came to competing statewide for grants.
Yeah, when you get something on here and people are hearing this, this is pretty neat, how it's going down at about 2 or 3, but people can follow your progress, Carol, very easily.
You can go to our Facebook page and see, right now don't be frightened when you look at some of the pictures, because some are a little distressing, like in the dark rooms. It's kind of a little bit scary, but the main part of the building is in really good shape, and you can see how we're progressing.
And easy. Well, that's going to make it neater, though. When you have those pictures, you can look back when it's all done.
Right. And you can see when we have fundraisers and where you can direct your monies if you're donating. And of course, in the near future, we would like to start having, maybe if we could do some actual projects, even though we don't have the building up and running, that we could do some projects that bring people in so they can see what our intentions are with the programs to follow in the future.
The art community is a large community. It's kind of the silent community. I mean, until you, I found this from talking with my friend Dave Barnes at the Schaefer Gallery a lot. He's updated me about the art community, how active and involved they are. Maybe you don't see it a lot, but this is a perfect place for them to kind of show what they have to offer.
Right, and we would love for people to get on the Facebook page and tell us what they would like to see, what programs they would like to see in the gallery, in Grace Photo Studio after we get going, and we would love to know those hidden talents. There are hidden gems all over our area, just like what you're talking about, and we would like to know who's doing what so that they can come in and share.
Carolyn, before we go today, I like this. Very good guest that you brought with you today. But anything else?
We're proud of her, too.
You've got 20 seconds to fill in here at the end. No, I'm just kidding. You've got a little bit more time. Some other reminders,
Well,
Carolyn.
I just thought I'd also tell that we are developing a newsletter, an email newsletter at Economic Development that will keep people informed on things like this, as well as all the other things we're working on, or even just a way to communicate if there's a program that may be useful to business owners in the area. And we need a good way to communicate that on a regular basis. Sign up for our newsletter on our website. If you go to www.staffordEcoDevo.com, it's on the homepage in the upper right-hand corner. We also have Facebook as a way that we tell about what we're doing on a day-to-day basis, and we do still have housing tax credits available. It's here at the crunch time at the end of the year, but donations to our housing program can be offset with tax credits for your Kansas income taxes. Call us at 549-3527 if you're interested, and you can get all the details you'd ever care to have.
Very good, and it's been good, Carol. Thanks for coming in today. And chairman of the board, how many other board members are on serving with you?
We have 4 board members right now looking for the 5th. So we are in the market for a 5th board member.
For the 5th board member, who's on with you now?
We have Randall Tucker. He is multi-talented, but I still look at him as our landscape designer.
Okay.
And Bill Clausing, who is a very talented musician and performer, and Lisa Milton, who is our current county treasurer, and she is to keep us in line with all the technical money side of it.
It took me a long time to figure this all out, but it finally pieced it together. Let's see. Dave Barnes, Carol Long. Yeah, you were just involved in an exhibit out there, didn't you?
Yes.
It takes me a long, long time to figure things out. Carol, it's very nice to meet you.
Thank you.
And
nice to be here.
Carolyn, thanks for coming on today, and we'll talk to you next week. Also, if you thought this show was really awesome, and you said, boy, you should have heard that show today, especially that host, you can go and find the archive broadcast, right?
That's right. We are podcasting each one of these broadcasts on our Facebook page, as well as on the Economic Development website. So
there you go. You can go tell somebody to go check it out. Okay,
go check it out.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. Happy holidays. That is going to do it for this edition of Focus on Stafford County. Thanks for joining us today. News coming up next here on the Mighty 1590 KVGB.